Why we fear. Being ordinary. Human beings have feared many things throughout history: death, hunger, abandonment, and the unknown. Yet one fear has quietly woven itself into the fabric of modern life: the fear of being ordinary. It is subtle but relentless, often shaping our decisions more than we realize. It drives people to chase accolades, curate idealized identities, and measure self-worth through comparison. Though it can motivate achievement, this fear also burdens us with insecurity and restlessness, making us doubt the value of a simple life. But why does ordinariness frighten us so profoundly? To understand this, we must explore our psychology, our cultural influences, and the ways we construct meaning in an increasingly competitive world. The historical roots of human exceptionalism. The fear of being ordinary is not purely a modern invention. Its early traces can be found in the ancient human desire to matter, to leave behind a story that outlives us. Early societies celebrated warriors, chiefs, prophets, and creators, elevating specific individuals beyond the collective. Legends, myths, and epics glorified extraordinary figures, reinforcing the idea that significance is earned through heroism or greatness. Human beings are narrative-driven creatures. We make sense of life through stories, and in every culture, the hero's journey is held up as the ideal. To be ordinary, then, feels like being excluded from the narrative. It places one outside the spotlight, rendering one's life invisible. Even before modern media amplified the idea of exceptionalism, humans already longed for personal significance. The difference today is that the definition of extraordinary has expanded and the audience watching us has grown exponentially. Evolutionary psychology and the need for social recognition. From an evolutionary perspective, belonging to a group was essential for survival, but not all positions within a group were equal. Those with higher status had better access to resources, mates, and protection. Over time, natural selection favored individuals who pursued recognition and feared irrelevance. This instinct survives today, though the stakes are no longer life or death. While being ordinary does not threaten physical survival, it can feel like a threat to our psychological survival. To our brains, perceived insignificance triggers anxiety similar to social exclusion. We fear that if we do not stand out, we might be overlooked, undervalued, or forgotten. This fear becomes even more intense in societies that prize individualism. In many cultures, we are taught from childhood that uniqueness equals worth, while conformity equals mediocrity. Thus, the fear of being ordinary is deeply wired into both our evolutionary instincts and our cultural conditioning. The modern era of comparison. Social media's impact. If the fear of ordinariness has always existed, social media has magnified it to unprecedented levels. We now live in an age of constant comparison. Every scroll reveals curated snapshots of success, beauty, adventure, creativity, and wealth. People showcase their highlight reels, not their ordinary routines. The result is a distorted sense of normal. What once counted as a good life, steady work, a comfortable home, meaningful relationships, now feels lacking when compared to the curated excellence of others. This environment creates two pressures: the pressure to be interesting. Ordinary moments, like a quiet morning or a modest achievement, can feel unacceptable when measured against viral accomplishments or luxurious lifestyles. Social media subtly sends the message that our lives should be perpetually exciting and photogenic. The pressure to be seen. The digital world teaches us that visibility equals value. An unposted moment can feel unimportant. This contributes to the fear that if our lives don't stand out publicly, they lack meaning. Even those who reject social media's standards are influenced by them. The culture of comparison has seeped into nearly every aspect of modern identity. The fear of ordinariness grows because the bar for extraordinariness keeps rising. Capitalism and the myth of limitless potential. Modern economic systems also play a significant role in nurturing the fear of being ordinary. Capitalism thrives on competition, self-improvement, and growth. It encourages people to see themselves as brands or products that can be optimized, be more efficient, more attractive, more talented, more successful. The message embedded in this system is clear: you can be anything you want to be, and you should be extraordinary. While this sounds empowering, it has a dark side. If limitless potential is the expectation, then anything short of exceptional feels like failure. Ordinary life becomes something to escape rather than something to embrace. The pressure to continually improve, achieve, and outperform creates a perpetual sense of inadequacy. Moreover, industries such as marketing and advertising reinforce the idea that we need more experiences, more success, more validation to be worthy. Ordinary satisfaction does not sell products, insecurity does. Identity, and the quest for significance. The fear of being ordinary is deeply tied to how we define identity. In earlier eras, identity was often determined by family, community, or religion. Today, identity is self-constructed and self-marketed. We are urged to find ourselves, follow our passion, and make a difference. While these messages promote autonomy, they also place tremendous responsibility on the individual to craft a meaningful life narrative. But what counts as meaningful? For many, it is equated with being exceptional, creating something remarkable, achieving high status, or contributing something unique to the world. We want our lives to matter, not just to us, but in a broader social or even global context. The challenge is that not everyone can be extraordinary in socially recognized ways. If everyone were exceptional by definition, the meaning of exceptionalism would dissolve. Thus, the pursuit becomes an endless race, with fewer finishing places than participants. And because our self-esteem is so entwined with our perceived significance, the fear of being ordinary becomes a fear of being unworthy. The illusion of meritocracy, the belief in meritocracy that anyone can achieve greatness through effort, reinforces the fear of ordinariness. While hard work is indeed valuable, meritocracy often exaggerates the idea that success is a pure reflection of individual ability and choice. It minimizes the influence of luck, privilege, timing, and circumstances. This creates a psychological paradox. If success is fully earned, then failure feels fully deserved. If someone else achieves more, their success feels like a direct comparison to our inadequacy. The fear of being ordinary intensifies because ordinary status appears to reflect a personal shortcoming, rather than the natural outcome of living in a world with limited opportunities. The belief that we could achieve more if only we tried harder keeps us dissatisfied with the perfectly everyday lives we already have. Cultural narratives about legacy and immortality. Another source of this fear lies in humanity's relationship with mortality. Many people seek ways to outlive their physical existence, whether through accomplishments, children, art, or lasting impact. Popular culture romanticizes legacy. We celebrate innovators, activists, artists, and leaders whose contributions endure long after they are gone. But most people will not be remembered by history, nor do they need to be. However, the impulse to seek immortality through significance makes ordinary life feel temporary and unimportant. Cultural narratives have convinced us that to be forgotten is tragic. Yet this overlooks the beauty of lives that influence small circles, families, friends, and local communities in profound ways, even if they are not widely documented. The role of ego and existential anxiety. Fear of ordinariness is ultimately a form of existential anxiety. It forces us to confront uncomfortable questions. What makes a life meaningful? If we are not exceptional, are we enough? Is being one among billions inherently insignificant? Does ordinariness mean we'll be overlooked, forgotten, or unloved? Our ego resists the idea that we are just one of many. It craves uniqueness. It wants reassurance that we matter distinctively. The fear of being ordinary stems not only from external comparisons, but from internal fears about our worth and identity. But the ego's desire for exceptionalism can be insatiable. Even when people achieve extraordinary goals, they often feel the same underlying anxiety. The internal voice shifts the goalposts. Yes, you accomplished that, but now you must accomplish more. In this way, the fear never disappears unless we confront its psychological roots. The hidden beauty of ordinary life. The fear of ordinariness closes our eyes to the profound value embedded in everyday moments. Ordinary is not synonymous with meaningless. On the contrary, it is the foundation of human experience, shared routines, quiet joys, small bonds, and daily acts of care. Consider the ordinary aspects of life that bring deep fulfillment: meaningful conversations, shared meals, acts of kindness, personal growth, intimate relationships, creativity expressed for joy, rather than recognition. These experiences are universal yet irreplaceable. They may not be broadcast or celebrated, but they contribute to emotional richness and well-being. An extraordinary life built on external validation can feel empty without these ordinary anchors. Accepting ordinariness as part of the human condition. Embracing ordinariness does not mean rejecting ambition or giving up on dreams. Instead, it involves appreciating the inherent worth of being human, independent of public recognition or comparison. To accept ordinariness is to understand that every life has equal value. That meaning can be personal and straightforward. That uniqueness comes from authenticity, not performance. That being ordinary does not preclude moments of brilliance. That our worth does not depend on being admired. Ironically, when we stop striving to be extraordinary, we often unlock forms of creativity, connection, and fulfillment that feel more genuine. We become less reactive to societal pressure, and more attuned to what truly matters to us. Redefining what it means to matter. Ultimately, the fear of being ordinary stems from a narrow definition of what it means to matter. If mattering means becoming famous, powerful, wealthy, or exceptional, then very few people will ever feel satisfied. But if mattering means touching lives, being kind, pursuing passions, creating moments of joy, contributing to a community, loving and being loved, then ordinariness becomes a profound expression of humanity. Meaning is not a competition. It is a personal journey. And sometimes the most ordinary people have the most profound impact, quietly shaping their families, workplaces, and communities in ways that are invisible but enduring. Reclaiming the ordinary as a source of freedom. We fear being ordinary because we misunderstand what it means. We have been conditioned to equate ordinariness with insignificance, to measure worth through comparison, and to believe that only exceptional lives deserve admiration. But this belief traps us in a perpetual state of dissatisfaction. The truth is that ordinary life is not a failure of potential. It is the canvas on which human connection, meaning, and joy are painted. The world does not need billions of extraordinary individuals. It requires authentic ones, people who live fully, love deeply, and contribute sincerely, whether or not their names are remembered. To embrace ordinariness is not to shrink but to breathe. It is to step out of the race, reclaim our peace, and discover that a meaningful life is not built on being remarkable to the world, but on being true to ourselves. When we release the fear of being ordinary, we make room for something far more powerful, the freedom to be human.